Should you start One Piece in 2026? That is the question that I want to ask y'all today. Because One Piece had got to the point to where even non-anime fans have at least heard about this show. At least they know about the character named Monkey D. Luffy. In today's video, I wanted to go over the pros and cons of to all the people out here that's at least considering or has considered starting this anime. I ain't here to please you. I ain't here to beg you. I ain't here to try to sway you over. I'm just here to lay down the things that I personally see from my 4 eyes that I have right now as to us leading to my conclusion to this question. So, without any further ado, let's have a random talk. One Piece is in a rare predicament in this anime world because when you normally put on someone to an anime that you like, you normally would try to put them on based on how good the show is. And that kind of gets people going. But in One Piece case, you just simply try and convince someone to start. Because the person you may target to, they might already have an idea that this show is probably good because of simply maybe popularity, or it could be insight, or it just could be word around the street. You know what I'm saying? The fact that the show currently logs in at 1,155 episodes and it's ongoing, that will instantly have people turning the blind eye. Because if this show was like finished, if the story was concluded, or even another case, maybe instead of over 1,100 episodes, maybe it was cut in half, it would have a higher chance of people to start watching this franchise. It's just based on those couple of things alone that instantly give people a notion to not even have the time to even mess with it because they may not have the time to do it and may not be as important to them as far as them comparing to other anime that they like. So just simply having them to start is the ultimate battle in itself when it comes to this anime called One Piece. I'm here to lay down some pros and cons in this anime as a person that has spent almost 2 years catching up to the anime, playing catch up. One of the pros I want to talk about is they do a good job of laying down real life situations and telling that story well. In this story, you will see events such as racism, you'll see higher-ups abusing their power, you will see betrayal, you will see any kind of facet that us human beings has probably experienced at least once in our lives. And they have a multitude of characters that have their own individual stories that for the most part has explained pretty well, that can really have people engaging once they blend in the obvious shonen level fighting and animation. Another pro that I want to bring up is the main character by the name of Monkey D. Luffy. Now, Monkey D. Luffy is portrayed as this guy who has this one ultimate goal is to be the king of the pirates. He said it since he was a little kid. He said it since day one. He still was saying it when he first set sail. He was saying it each time that he recruited a new crew member for the Straw Hats. He told many enemies across this anime. We can see, even though he is a dense character, he don't really put too much thought in a lot of stuff, but when it's time to get serious, he really put his game face on. We see to the point where the mini battles he faced and the mini quotes he says, and to all the memorable moments that this individual character has, not only when it comes to him portraying himself, but to also his crewmates and even all the people that he rescues, even a few villains that he come across the way. Based on the type of character he is, I really believe that he is the type of character that will really make you better yourself. For example, a guy that's really been popping off last year, Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku. He's another prime example of him having a ultimate goal in mind and him not stopping until he eventually gets there. And he was able to inspire so many people along the way. He also inspires the toughest of villains, aka All For One, aka Shigaraki, and also other ones across that My Hero universe. So Luffy being on par with a guy like Deku, or I should say Deku being on par with a guy like Luffy, let me just flip that around. That can really set you off in a good way. So if you're a real fan of Deku, you haven't started watching this anime, Monkey D. Luffy will have you feeling that exact same way. Another pro that I want to talk about is the Straw Hat members. The Straw Hat members and the Straw Hat crew, they all have their individual personalities. They're not just all similar to Luffy. They don't have that many individual goals themselves outside of a guy named Roronoa Zoro, and he wanted to be the greatest swordsman, or even a guy like Chopper wanted to be the greatest doctor. Outside of that, everyone else, they have their own reason as to being a part of the crew, and you get to really see different personalities from each and every individual Straw Hat member that you can even be more of a fan of than Luffy. I mean, that's just how I see it as another pro. And also, we can get to other pros is the world building when in terms of they travel on so many islands across the sea. They even go underneath. They even go in the sky. Seeing all the worlds and islands they go on to, and each world has their own individual meaning and their own reason to exist. That is another thing that honestly could keep people engaged and it could really help them come up with new content instead of it being repetitive, as a lot of people fear. Now, let's get to the cons because some people may out here probably want to just hear the cons anyway. But I hope if you're going to hear out about the cons, I hope you understand the pros that I pointed out to you. The main con that even One Piece fans themselves say is the pacing. The pacing is bad. It's to the point to where you can watch a stretch of episodes and you can feel inside that the story barely progresses. And the two main examples I wanted to talk about when it comes to this con is Wano and Egg Island. I feel as if personally, as good as the story could be portrayed, in my opinion, I do believe it was dragged out for far too long. And I also do believe that there's so many important figures and organizations going to be all bunched up into one. But I won't tell you the story about those two. Y'all got to watch it yourself if you want to. But I would say that the pacing is way slower than the average anime pacing. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. Another con that I wanted to talk about is this could be arguable. It could be based on like a personal thing, but to me, I don't really think of it as a major con. I think this more of a minor than major, and that is the animation. Now, listen, there have been a string of people saying that back in the earlier stages of One Piece, it was a lack of animation, but now we get to the newest stage of it, which we get to Wano on up. Probably it started around Dressrosa, maybe earlier than that, but now they're saying it's too much animation, it's too glossy, too shiny. So if you're a fan of anime that has simple, clean, cute animation, then this anime has that for you. But if you also have being a fan of the the typical crystal clear, beautiful, very bright and vibrant animation, then this show also has it too. But for the most part, over half the time, you're gonna be the simple, straight to the point kind of animation that everyone basically grew up off of being anime fans. So if you see the glossy, vibrant, beautiful animation as a con, then I would issue that to you. And another con that I wanted to bring up as well, I probably already brought it up, I wanted to put it in the con category, is this is a very long running anime that is still ongoing. So I would say, for the fact that it has 1,155 episodes at the time of me being recorded, and is also being an ongoing anime with Elbaf arc airing April of this year, and they already having talks about God Valley, another arc that's being produced in 2027. So if you're the type of person that's, if they start watching one anime, they're gonna stick to that anime and stick to watching that, then I would advise you to be prepared for a long time, because with this anime being as long as it is and ongoing, you will have to just sit back and prepare to be at this specific anime for a long time. You might be burnt out for a while. You may take breaks watching it to maybe watch another anime at the time being. You may end up probably getting tired of seeing the same characters over and over again for the most part. Because I'm the type of person that if I see an anime, if I want to start a new anime, I'm gonna stick it to that anime. And then if any of the stuff that I already caught up on drops, then I'll just watch a newest episode of that when it comes to the content. So if you're the type of person that wants to stick to watching an anime that you pick up on and seeing it through, then prepare for being in for a long ride. With that being said, my conclusion is this. Do I recommend you to watch or start on One Piece in 2026? My answer would be yes, because I do really like the anime. I think the pros outweighs the cons that I personally created for myself. Remember, this is just my point of view. I'm not speaking for the anime One Piece fandom. I'm not. I'm just speaking for me, myself, and I. So I would recommend you to start it, but I will keep you having to think yourself to that you are going to be here for a long time. If you are willing to be watching this anime for a long time, then I will recommend you to watch it. But I do understand why people think it's so long, and also with the factoring in that this is still ongoing and we have no clear indication of a beginning to an end. We don't have any indication of that as far as me recording this. I would say that I will understand people not starting it. I ain't gonna be here and be like, oh, you're missing out. You just really just please give it a try. Something. Sometimes people don't want to watch something like that when it comes to this rare situation of One Piece, and I understand that. But for the people out here that's willing to, I would 100% recommend you to start One Piece in 2026. So let me know your thoughts on the pros and cons that I listed out. Do you agree or disagree with them? It's all the people that have caught up on the One Piece as far as only the anime or the manga or even both. Do you agree with me recommending them to start it? Do you agree with the pros and cons that I made as far as me being an anime only person? Because yes, I am an anime only watcher. I don't really read the manga. I respect the manga community. I respect people that only watch anime like me, and I respect people that do both, because we're all anime fans at the end of the day. We're all in the same bubble. We're all in the same boat. So we all need to respect each other and respect the facets that we come from. So, with that being said, if y'all want to like, comment, subscribe, and turn post notice on for the next video, y'all can do that if you want to. But as I always say, at the end of the day, y'all grown. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. With that being said, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.